Well, gay couples can't legally marry in Australia, but they're a step closer to being able to adopt children. The Labor Party voted at the weekend for an historic shift, same-sex couples being able to adopt kids. If Daniel Andrews is elected, that may happen. Now, that's prompted Bernard Finn, who was something of an outspoken critic of all manner of things, MP for Western Metropolitan Region, who says on his Facebook page, and he's a Richmond supporter, it is highly likely I'd join the Collingwood cheer squad before gay adoption would ever get my support. He goes on to say, after thousands of years of mums and dads, you show me the proof that having two mums or two dads won't hurt the kids. Okay, both sides. Bill Meuhlenberg, spokesman for the Family Council Victoria, good morning.
Good morning, Neil.
And Anna Brown, co-convenor, Victorian Gay and Lesbian Rights Lobby. Anna Brown, good morning.
Morning to you, Neil.
Okay, Bill Meuhlenberg, do you know how many kids are up for adoption in the year in Victoria?
There wouldn't be that many. I'm not sure of the exact figures, but I think it's relatively low, the numbers.
Okay, and why do you oppose gay adoption?
Well, adoption agencies up until recently have always known that if sadly a child is absent their own biological mom and dad, we should try to find the closest thing to that for their own well-being. So a married heterosexual couple filling the right criteria was always the interest of the child. So for that reason, that's the way they went.
Anna Brown?
Sure, well, actually stranger adoptions, as they're called, represent a very small number of adoptions every year, about 2%. And the vast bulk of adoptions actually involve existing families, and that means it's actually in the best interests of those children that those relationships, those families that are already there, have the same rights and recognition in the law as other families. So this is about recognising existing relationships and making sure those relationships have legal protection. And that's really important for both the couples, but particularly the children.
Sorry, you've lost me here. I don't understand what you mean.
For instance, if you have, at the moment, there are plenty of same-sex couples out there with children.
Yeah.
From all sorts of, from IVF or pre-existing marriages and a whole range of means.
Yeah, sure.
When you have a situation where there's, for instance, a long-term fostering scenario, and obviously
By a gay couple,
and obviously we do everything we can to preserve the relationship, or the state does, to preserve the relationship between the biological parents and that child. But for one reason or another, biological parents aren't always able to preserve that relationship. And in long-term fostering situations, parenting orders are put in place. But what happens when it's a same-sex couple is that those couples that are looking after those children as though they're their parents can't actually convert that to an adoption in the same way that a heterosexual couple could.
Well, could I ask Bill Meuhlenberg about that? What if we have a gay couple who, two women who conceive by whatever means, and they have the child living in their family with the two women? Would you accept that they could adopt that child?
Well, it's, again, taking a hard case and trying to turn it into law, which is always a bad practice. We know of kids who may, for example, be born addicted to crack cocaine because of their parents, but we don't say, therefore, because it's already happening, let's legalize it, let's promote it, let's make more of it. We try to look after the well-being of the child.
No, but that's not what I'm saying. I mean, what I'm saying, when you talk about stranger adoption, are you just talking about stranger adoption or any adoption?
Well, I think in any adoption, again, the well-being of the child should be the primary concern, and to legalize something that is not in the best interest of the child is simply not going to be helpful in the long run.
Even if the child is sort of living in that family already, because it is, in a sense, the child of the two women.
Well, again, hard cases make for bad law. To take the few tough cases, which are very few indeed, and try to, therefore, legalize it and make it open slather, I think that's not going to help the situation.
Okay, Anna Brown?
Well, I don't think it's only a few tough cases. There's hundreds of couples and hundreds of children out there that are already living in these situations, and it's in the best interest of those children, not only in terms of their legal rights, but also social acceptance for their parents to be recognised in the same way as other parents are.
Well, can I throw the other side back at you, Anna Brown, and say, well, do you believe that if it is a stranger adoption, as distinct from the situation you're talking about there, in stranger adoption, it is better if the child is adopted by a heterosexual couple? Because there are so few, there must be a long line of people wanting to adopt.
Well, I think in each case, the best couple should be selected on its merits, and the sexual orientation or the sexuality of those parents shouldn't be an issue.
Well, it shouldn't be, but I'm talking about you've got two equal couples on every other level. Is the heterosexual couple preferable to the gay couple simply because of the society norm?
Well, no, I don't believe so. I think, in fact, if you look at the research, and I'm not going to say either way whether heterosexual or same-sex parents should be preferred in an individual case. I think it should be a case-by-case assessment. But what the research shows is that same-sex parented families are actually doing as well, if not better, than children in heterosexual families. So they do better emotionally, or they do as well emotionally, socially and educationally as their peers from heterosexual couples' families. So that this notion that heterosexual couples are the best parents, I think, is something we really have to look at the research before we jump to any conclusions.
Bill Meuhlenberg?
Well, the research is there, fortunately for us. We have about 50 years of social science data telling us exactly this. All things considered, children do best when raised in a heterosexual household, preferably married with biological parents, but when that is not possible, as in this case, then again we want to get to the closest thing there is to it. And if we simply had this discussion based on the social science evidence, well, we probably wouldn't even be having this debate because it's pretty clear based on that data.
Thank you both very much for your time. Bill Meuhlenberg from the Family Council of Victoria, Anna Brown, co-convenor, Victorian Gay and Lesbian Rights Lobby. Talking Melbourne.